Good morning, everyone. I'll call today's ABC Board meeting to order. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. So I have a motion to approve the agenda for today.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Does anyone have a conflict of interest or an appearance of any type of conflict on any of the agenda items coming before us today? If so, please tell us. Okay, hearing none.
I'm sorry, before we move on, Emily is in clerk school today, and I believe that Phil may be attending remotely, but either way, since she's not sitting in, she will be doing our minutes for today. When you guys are doing motions or voting, if you could identify yourself.
Good point.
So that it'll be easier for Emily for her whenever she's typing up the minutes for the meeting.
Okay.
For the
So
recording.
on the agenda approval, that was Mason making the motion. Lila seconding.
Thank you.
All right, citizens' comments. Is there anyone on the phone that would like to speak for the board?
There is no one on right now, and Emily has not shared any information with us that anyone registered, so to speak.
Okay. Next item would be the financial report.
Phil's on the line as well. All right, so Jackie sent the financial report to everyone. Did anyone have any questions? Did you guys have a chance to look over it this weekend? Okay. Any questions from it?
You guys were going to take a fiscal inventory. Was that taken?
We did one in the last month. We also have another one scheduled for June 28th with the auditors, but we will conduct another one for this month. So the plan is to do one full store inventory each month, and then they'll do kind of spot checks throughout the month as well. But if you notice, the cost of goods sold from this previous month is in line with where it is supposed to be. It's roughly 53% of your sales, which is what it should be. So it looks like we've corrected that issue. A couple things that I did want to point out is there was that's March. Oh, sorry. I apologize. I had March pulled up. So there was a higher amount of payroll used in April, but just a note on that, we do have 3 pay periods for the month of October and April. There are 3 pay periods. That is reflected in the upcoming year's budget, so we'll be able to track that a little bit better. And so that's why that one's going to be a little bit higher for the month of April. We did make the correction with cost of goods sold at $119,000, which again is roughly 53% of the total sales. So we should be in line with that going forward. I know that Jackie sent a note to Carrie just around us making some additional payments to the town of Youngsville. We have some catch-up to make in our profits due to the town for this year. So Carrie and I will be digging into that this week just to see exactly how much more we need to do to get caught up 100% so that we are in line with where we should be. For this upcoming year, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and Phil's on, he can interject if I'm wrong, I think they've been paying periodically in the past in whatever we owe to the town. So the way that Carrie and I are gonna have it set up, and the way I set the budget up, is that we will pay the town what we owe the town every month.
We should be doing that now. I mean, we got plenty of cash.
Carrie and I had already talked about it, last week, and just looking at like, let's figure out exactly what we do though, so that we get caught up and we can pay what we owe going forward. We know what the distribution calculations are. Again, it's factored into the budget. If we do more, it should automatically readjust itself based on the distributions because it's a set amount. So then we can just make those adjustments every month as we go, so we're not ever trying to play catch up or not paying the town what we owe them for anything, so.
Let's go ahead and try to do that before the next meeting.
Yeah, we will. We can get things out.
Good deal.
We'll schedule a time to figure out what we're checking out. Okay.
There is a $48,000 liability on the balance sheet to the town, but that will be
Yeah.
taken off.
Yes. Jackie just needed the official resolution from the commissioners, that was voted on at that meeting. I provided that to her, upon her request this week, so she's gonna have it removed from QuickBooks officially.
Deal.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you for that report. Next item is a consent agenda, and it has to do with minutes from the last board meeting. The action requested is to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second. So,
Lila Headley.
Kirk made the motion and Lila seconded. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Old business, update on renovation and relocation of the ABC store. Bridget, do you want to lead off with that?
Yeah, so construction has started. There has been some delay in permitting. Sorry, Phil said he's trying to get in right now.
That delay had to do with fire exit issue, so we had to do a little bit of change in the plans there. It didn't really impact the store that much. And then there was a little bit of delay as the permit, getting the permit approved. I think they put in the underground utilities for the bathroom and everything, and requested a permit. There was a little bit of a delay on that as well. So Bridget and Bill are staying on top of anything that they could assist the contractor with to get inspections handled efficiently through the county.
Yes, so, Phil and I are trying to work with the contractors right now, because they are giving us a much later date than what we expected. What Rick mentioned around the delay, that was a 1-week delay. That wasn't even our cause, but it was a 1-week delay that occurred. Phil said he's in the waiting room.
What popped up on my computer, it looked like he started another room, because at like 9:07 it said Phil started the meeting.
Okay.
So he may need to log out and try to get back in.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I won't bother you again. But it came to our attention yesterday that there have been some permitting delays based on Franklin County's permitting office, not scheduling them timely manner. So Phil was nice enough to let the general contractors know that we can assist. We have a good relationship with the Franklin County Permitting Office, and that if there's anything we can do to assist them in that, then we can and will. But we also haven't been made aware of any scheduling issues until yesterday. So that was my conversation with them, was that, we want to we have to get the store open by July 1st, and we will do pretty much anything to make that happen, but we also have to be made aware of any issues that are happening so that we can support them in getting this thing accomplished. We'll keep you updated with where our progress is, but that's kind of where we are right now. So.
Is Rick Turner still kind of on schedule for everything?
Yes and no.
I hate to push them so hard for them to turn the building over and then Rick not be ready.
Well, I'm working with Rick on his schedule, so.
Okay, good deal. Let us know if we can help you.
I will.
Does anyone have any questions?
Is there any issues with getting supplies in terms of construction supplies? With the gas shortage, with the lumber shortage?
So that was one of the things that Rick Turner and I discussed this week, is because the building's not going to be ready when we originally expected, he wanted to push back our delivery date for our shelving, and I wasn't prepared to do that in that I don't like the uncertainty of supply chain right now in general. So again, just based on our services contract with the town, we have the ability to utilize town equipment, services, and things. So we are going to accept delivery for the shelving on June 1st at 9 a.m. And it's going to be housed in the warehouse in the public building, public works area back here now. They have a loading dock, so I will just need to purchase a pallet jack to get the pallets off of the truck because it's a contract carrier. They won't unload it for you. But that'll be $300. So
We'll need one anyway.
yeah, I mean, I figured that, I could probably get one for $300 or $400. So we're just going to house the shelving here so that we have it and it's safe and we know we're going to have it. So I am looking at things like that and trying to be as proactive as possible on things that we may run into. I haven't heard anything directly from the general contractors about them having any supply issues right now. So I think we're pretty good. The shelving and that equipment stuff was the biggest concern because that's not something that we could just go to Home Depot and buy if we ran out of it. It's custom made, and so I think us having that secured now is a little bit of a relief. So
We did have to switch out the light, right? We had a round pendant light. He was able to get the lights.
yeah, because he had mentioned that if it was going to be pushed out by 2 weeks, then he would probably be better off just to keep the original lights.
Okay.
So we're not going to switch them.
All right, thanks for everybody's input. Continued discussion of the proposed rules of conduct policy. We had reviewed the initial draft at last board meeting, and there were a few suggestions made. I've reviewed what Bridget has done. It looks really good. Does everyone else have an opportunity to review it?
Yeah.
Before you guys vote on it, sorry, I'm trying to help people get in. So I did remove the original conflict of interest language, and I substituted that in with the town's policy. Another change that was made, that I'm sure you saw, we just basically put a line in saying that any policies that are listed in the town policy, which is our adopted policy as an ABC system for the store employees, also applies to board members as necessary. And that was just to prevent me from having to duplicate said policies that are applicable to the whole ABC system in your board-specific ones. The other thing that was officially adopted, the commissioners did vote and implemented the attendance and pay policy for board members. So that will be in effect as of the June 1st, that basically your board member compensation will continue to be $49.92. But it is contingent upon your participation of meetings for that month, to include the regular scheduled board meeting, any special meetings that are called, any committee meetings that may be called that you commit attendance to, and that Any absences from meetings will just need to be submitted to the board chairman or vice chairman if the chairman's not available, and that there must be at least 50% attendance for meetings. Any questions on that? Okay.
So the action requested is to adopt the policy as proposed. Someone like to make a motion to adopt the policy?
I make a motion to adopt the policy.
Okay, thank you, Lila.
I'll second it, Mason.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Unanimous. New business. First item is a resolution to enter a line of credit contract to fund a new store opening project. And the action requested is to adopt the resolution.
So this, you guys already voted for us you already approved for us to obtain a line of credit, but the bank needs an official resolution adopted by the board for Carrie and I to execute as signers for the line of credit on behalf of the ABC system. So that's what this is. It's just you guys officially voting on the resolution for us to execute it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the line of credit.
Well, it's actually to adopt the resolution. I'm sorry, I should have phrased that a bit better.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Good deal.
I second, Mason.
Okay, any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thanks, everyone. Next item is a presentation of updated contract between the Fiscal and the ABC board. This contract is in existence now with similar responsibilities. Bridget, would you like to
Yes.
go over that?
Yes. Did you all have a chance to review it in its entirety? Okay. So some of the main changes for this is really we are increasing the amount of money that we're paying to the town for their services because we will be taking Carrie on as our new finance officer, which is why she's suing us today. We won't say congratulations yet because she's not officially appointed until after this. But the town will be making Carrie a full-time employee, and they will be paying her salary through the town. So we will be paying for her as a contract employee through the town's services. So we're basically, in this way, reimbursing them for her salary on a part-time basis to do services for the board. And we are also retaining the town's attorney for any services that we may need. So instead of paying $1,000 a month for the town services, we are going to up that contract to $2,000. That also includes, again, us utilizing the public works building, any large bulky item pickups that we need on demand, which we have had to use the services for even since I've been here, the mowing, maintenance issues that we have, utilizing the town administrator on a consultant human resource basis. So there's lots of different things that we have needed to utilize some resources for without having to pay for them out of pocket. So I think it's definitely beneficial for us to continue this contract with them.
I think the increase in the monthly cost for what we're paying now, if Jackie is no longer the finance officer, I think it's pretty much a wash.
Yes, I mean, because we're budgeting the same amount, so essentially it's $300 for the attorney, $700 for Carrie, essentially is the increase that we're doing.
Having an attorney on retainer would be really good.
Yes.
For us.
And if there arises a situation where our grievance is between ourselves and the town for any reason that we would need to retain our own attorney, then we would just retain our own at our own cost. I don't foresee that being an issue, but any other questions? Rick?
Well, this agreement only obligates us to pay them the $2,000 a month.
Yes. Well, still actually, the previous town services contract, I was looking back through some of the, old, board meetings, and, I think the old town services contract did obligate us to pay all profits back to the town of Youngsville, but still had that, contract amended at the February board meeting, I believe. And that was the one that forgave the $48,000 that we owed from the previous year. So we're no longer obligated to pay back all. The benefit to the town is that, the more money that we make, the more money we're paying to the town because we are on a statutory distribution requirement. So no matter what, we owe them a certain amount of money per percentage of our sales. So us having that profit back to be able to reinvest into the ABC system just increases our sales and therefore increases the dollar amount that we're paying to the town anyway. So that we are still retaining our profit in this contract services. This contract services agreement is mainly just for us utilizing town services so that we have a consistent avenue for which we can get things done within the ABC system without having to pay for someone to come cut our grass or do maintenance on our building, unless it's something specialized that the town can't do.
Okay, the action requested is to approve the contract with the town of Youngsville. So, make a motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract with the town.
Thanks, Mason. Is there a second?
A second, Lila.
Lila, second. Is there any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, everyone. Next item on the agenda is to appoint Carrie Patton Otluck as finance officer for the ABC board. Carrie, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I went to NC State. I graduated in 2004. Like a long time ago, I barely remember. I have a master's degree from there as well. I practiced as a CPA I worked for Famous Footwear in the corporate office doing lease audits and accruals for them for a period of time, and then I moved to tax accounting. And I worked on taxes until I had my first baby, and I stayed home for a little while. And I came back. I did some bookkeeping clients just for myself over the years, but then I came back to work part-time for Town Youngsville last February of 2020. So I've worked for 20 hours a week for them and moving up to 3/4 time for them. And there was a request for me to come full-time and also do ABC, and make a good fit.
So, Carrie, when you were hired by the town, did you go through a pretty rigorous application process?
For me, I was reached out to by a recruiter, and I came in, and that was Bill, and I actually did working interviews for him with Jesse at the time, and he gave me a very intense exam, so.
I was going to say, if you pass Phil's test, you're going to be okay for me.
So we did working interviews until they felt like they were confident in my ability to come in and do a good job for them. So that was how I went.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
And Phil did join us, by the way.
Hey, Phil.
How are you, sir?
Good, good. The action requested is to appoint Carrie as the ABC Board's new finance officer. Bridget, do you have any other comments you'd want to make?
Yeah, I fully support this decision. I hope that we do vote to vote Carrie in as finance officer. I think I am really excited about my partnership with her. Carrie hasn't even been our finance officer, but she's been involved in, what we've done. She's been excited about what we've been doing as the ABC system. She helped do our inventory in the store. So I think just like her passion and around doing a good job all the time I love how excited she is for our growth and for what we're doing, so I think it will definitely be beneficial for us to have someone like that in this role.
Could you maybe, when would this become effective from a pay standpoint?
July 1st,
Okay. All right. And we would continue to pay Jackie?
through the end of her contract, yes. And, you know, Jackie has been a huge, wonderful resource for us. She used to be the town finance officer, and so she transitioned Carrie into the town finance officer position. So they already have a relationship working together in a transition nature. So Jackie has already started training with Carrie right now. She will continue to do that through the end of her contract, but then also will offer her services to us on an as-needed basis. If there is a need, something weird that comes up that Carrie may need assistance with that she's not sure how to handle, we would just pay her on an hourly rate at that point at her rate of $125 an hour. And she also has offered other resources to us, such as, you know, she gets 50% off on QuickBooks Online through her CPA practice, and she's going to just let us continue our account through her practice and invoice us for the amount, so we're not paying full price for it, which is a huge cost savings to us. So I think that there's definitely a good relationship in that transition.
Yes, I'd also like to thank Jackie for all her years of service with ABC.
Yep.
Okay, are we ready? Someone to make a motion, please?
Kirk here, make a motion to appoint Carrie as our finance officer.
Is there a second?
I second it. Lila?
Any further discussion? All right, I'll ask all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, congratulations. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the ABC System General Manager to execute budget amendments between budget lines and from appropriated contingency funds. Bridget?
Yes, so, in working on the budget for this upcoming year and really working to try to appropriate the exact dollars to each month and each line where it should go, this is a resolution that Phil and I had discussed that he has similar with the commissioners, just approving him to make line item adjustments between budget lines. If we end up having $10,000 in uniforms and we only use $2,000, but we need a repair on the building, and that we can move money between line items. It doesn't adjust the actual budget amount, just being able to move them between line items if needed, on a basis that we're not having to wait until the next board meeting to make those adjustments. The budget amendments will still have to happen from a statutory perspective with the ABC Commission, because we have to submit any changes that are going to happen between line items, but this will allow me to just make those budget moves as needed throughout the year. Or, again, if you guys saw in the budget that I sent out, there is a contingency line that has roughly $15,000 in it for anything that may come up in this next year that is unforeseen, that we may need to put money into a building repair or something like that.
I'll point out that we've never had a budget officer for the ABC board until Bridget came online. So Jackie would prepare the budget every year, and I think having you with that now, and you're actively engaged in the day-to-day management, you have a lot better understanding of what categories need, how they need to be adjusted. And I think purchasing that banner for the new store is a good example of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We didn't have that in the budget.
Right.
So, have any board members had experience with this before? Any concerns that you might have?
You know, in my line of business, I'm general managers of our hotels, along with our controllers and then department heads. We have that, the ability to do that as well, because stuff does arise. It's going to happen all the time. And to have to sit there and keep going back to approval, it just doesn't make sense. It delays things.
And just so you know that there are still checks and balances in place, that as Carrie is the finance officer, and this is the internal controls aspect, which is why the ABC system, or the commission, They typically don't allow the same person to be budget officer and finance officer unless you're in a very small board, because there are those internal controls in place that even if I am going to move money, I still need to have a periodic stamp from the finance officer saying that we have the money available. This is just preventing me from having to wait for a board meeting to make those moves. But again, Carrie is in place as a finance officer to make sure that I'm not spending money that we don't have.
So this is a standard procedure, practice.
Well, sounds like you want to make a motion then.
I make a motion to authorize the ABC Systems General Manager to execute budget amendments. Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Item E, resolution authorizing the ABC System General Manager to execute contracts up to the state informal bidding threshold. And the action requested is to adopt said resolution. Bridget, you want to talk about that for a minute?
This is the same similar concept. It's just allowing me, similar to how we did with the sign contract where you guys did, and we approved contingent upon this situation. If there are small changes or contracts that need to be made under a certain dollar threshold, that's not the statutory amount listed by the North Carolina State, it allows me to execute those contracts on behalf of the ABC system as needed. So if there is, Phil, do you have a specific example you could share?
I mean, like the sign would be a good example for your new store, and the important part to keep in mind here is that it just authorizes her to actually execute the contract up to the level where right now it's $30,000, but it doesn't authorize Bridget to change the budget because that's a separate authority. So, these funds have to already be appropriated. So, she basically receives guidance from the board in your capital budget to, for example, in this, example, procure a sign for the new building, and then she just has the ability to sign the contract. I mean, that's all that you're doing. It doesn't give her the ability to, change the budget in any significant way. It's just giving her the ability to execute contracts for the purposes that are approved in the budget.
Is that a total contract? No.
Yes.
So the contracts would related to already approved budget line?
Yes.
Because technically, as of right now, she doesn't have the authority to sign any contract at all. So, Rick would have to sign those. Those might require board action. So this just gives her the ability to sign certain contracts, again, below that threshold that are already appropriated by the board.
Okay, here.
And again, excuse me. There are things that are listed when we do the budget review. I've made notes in there about particular things that we may not already have a contract with that we will going forward. So it's things like pest services. I've already identified the provider that we'll be using, Protect Pest Solutions. We haven't started service with them yet. It is included in the budget that is the amount and the company that we are going to use. So this would give me the ability to physically sign the contract with them after you guys have approved the budget for them. So.
One other important thing to note with this topic and with the previous budget topic is that the resolutions you're approving today still require her to report the execution of contracts and or budget amendments to the board, right? So if she signs a contract this month, at your next meeting, a copy of that contract is going to be included in the board's agenda and you'll be informed of it. So it's not like you're never going to find out, that she's executing all these contracts or doing all these budget amendments. I mean, she's required to report her actions to you at the next scheduled meeting. So that is also, a good level or a good way to ensure that you're still being informed, but to provide her the flexibility to execute actions necessary for the operations of the business without having to wait until the next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Phil. All right, I have a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the resolution to allow the ABC General manager to execute contract with the state for bidding professional.
Okay. Mason, made that motion. I hear a second.
I second it, Wyland.
Okay. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, this is what we all came for, was to look at the budget for next year. So, Bridget, I'll let you present that.
Okay, so, do you guys have any questions about what you looked at in the budget already before I dig in the lines?
I did notice that for the I did notice for the existing store,
Yeah.
we budgeted for the entire year. Our lease runs out in November, but I will disclose to everyone that the landlord had said that he does not think that he'll be ready to tear that building down at the end of November, and that he would like for us to stay on as long as we'd be willing to. So I'm imagining that's going to be a month of that issue. I also kind of feel like that if we do stay there in the store past November, we ought to maybe make some inquiry to the ABC Commission to see whether we need further approval.
Yes, yes. And my intention, my hope and wish and desire is for us to become a permanent two-board system, or two-store board. So even if the point comes where we are going to close the store, I mean, I think we continue to monitor the possibility of keeping College Street open. But, I mean, as you can see from the budget, I mean, I firmly believe that it can still contribute money to the ABC system and to the town of Youngsville. So I think that, you know, we just continue to assess how it does based on that budget. But, you know, I would like to engage with a commercial realtor at some point in the near future, possibly soon, just to throw some ideas out there about what if, you know, we do get kicked out of this building, and is there somewhere in this downtown area that we can maintain our presence here? I think there's a customer base here that is different than where we're going, and I would like to keep a presence in downtown Youngsville in some way. So, you know, it's why, you know, I made the decision to continue to budget us through the end of the year, because either we go a month in College Street, or I would like to have a discussion about, you know, how can we make it happen even if they're going to kick us out. So, what, Kurt?
I'm 100% behind you.
Good.
So I guess my only question is on, you've got a budget for College Street, whether we project out a full year's operation there at that store, or if we just cut it off in November.
I think that, and again, Phil and I had discussed this in budget preparation. I think that we budget for the store to stay open. Because the assumption, we're not operating in a capacity that we're expecting to close it. We're expecting to keep it open. If we make a decision, or the developer makes a decision, or the commission makes a decision on our behalf that we're going to close it, then we amend the budget with the commission that we're going to cut it off at wherever it happens. I think the positive to doing the budget this way, and it being a month-to-month specific budget, is that we still are able to have an idea about how we perform each month year-to-date. So even if we do close in November or December for some reason, then we at least know how we contributed. We have information to present to the commission that, yes, we are being profitable, so.
The other question that I had is that historically, the ABC board has distributed 100% of its profits to the town every year. But the way they would do that, they would wait until the end of the year to, when they closed out the books for the profit, and then they would pay that profit the following year. The right way to do it is at this point in time, make a decision what we distribute to the town next year. So if we have a budget here that says that we should make $150,000, and we vote to distribute to the town $50,000, then each quarter of next year's fiscal year when this budget covers, we need to pay that out. So we can have some discussion about that and think about it between now and the time that we finally approve the budget. I would caution the board members is that since we're opening a new store, and since we're going to keep the old store, that perhaps it might be better to try to retain as much profit as we can to build up our working capital. That way we're no longer relying on the line of credit that we got. But I do feel like that going forward that we'll be generating enough income to sustain our sales growth and still be a good citizen to the town and contribute, make distributions, profits like we're intended to.
So we are required to contribute our minimum distribution amounts for law enforcement and alcohol education. But there is also a minimum and maximum amount of working capital that we are allowed to retain as a board that is dependent upon your volume. So it's a minimum of, I think, 3 weeks of sales and a maximum of 3 month sales depending upon your volume. So I can prepare that for you guys too, just to give you the min and max working capital for the.
Jackie did it.
She did?
I actually have a copy.
Oh.
Well, I don't have, she shared it with me this morning. She's going to send me a copy after she's 100%. So the max, off the top of my head, I believe was 408,000 based on your estimate for the year. But I'll double check it.
I think we have 65,000 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you guys have a lot of room.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, but I think it was 408, but I'll double check it.
Okay.
I'm meeting with her again next Tuesday. We do our trainings at 6 a.m.
Wow. Okay, so based on that, I mean, we have a minimum maximum that we can retain anyway from the ABC Commission, so.
Would it be possible to do a budget amendment sometime next year to set a distribution amount? In other words, I'm a little bit leery to do that on July 1, but if we get through December and this new store's knocking it out of the park and we sort of know where we're going to be at year end, could we do a budget amendment at that time to say we're going to distribute X number of dollars to the town over and above our statutory minimum?
Yes, I guess my question is, why are we contributing more than what we need to right now?
Well,
I know they've done that in the past, and not that I don't want to give our money to the county of Youngsville,
yeah.
but I guess, what would be the reasons that we would give them more of our money?
Well, it's really our mission.
Yeah.
But at the same time, starting a new business and having worked over the last 3 years with this board where we would have to hold checks because we didn't have cash,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit reluctant to distribute all of our net profits in the coming year. I want to build up that working capital where we're on very sound financial footing. I think that's our responsibility.
Well, I think we could still work on building up our working capital through next year, and then I don't know how you guys feel about or feel even, but I mean, maybe we assess it at the end of the year that with our last budget amendment for the year, we're cleaning up the budget and just say,
I'm saying that too.
we've retained enough working capital for ourselves that we can move forward with a second striping project or whatever it is that we're going to do. And now we have $50,000 extra dollars in profit that we would like to distribute to the town of Youngsville. I mean, I think that will probably be the thing that would be the best idea from my standpoint, at least, just so that we are not, we pay them our minimum distributions required every month. Again, so we're not getting behind, so we don't owe them money that we're expected to pay them. We pay for our town services every month on time as needed. But if we're going to do extra distributions, maybe we do that at the end of the year.
And one thing Jackie mentioned this morning when we were going over that spreadsheet was that if you guys did get to your maximum, but you did have a capital project planned, that you could, and Bill can probably speak to this a little bit clearer than I can, but you could add a capital fund and you could house extra capital funds there for a future project.
We would have to ask the commissioners to approve us doing that, but you're exactly right.
That's correct, Rick.
So I think it's important that the minutes reflect that we've had this discussion. And I would just be interested in hearing you guys' feedback on what we just talked about as far as holding off until later in the year to make a decision on any additional distributions to the town.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does to me as well. And why was it, last year that there were times you had to hold checks because you didn't have money?
Well, because our sales were growing so much, and when you grow like we have, and you need to put inventory on the shelf, and if you pull all the profits out, there's really no money there to carry operations. So it would get tight from time to time.
Okay. So there weren't any other reasons?
No, nothing happened to do with embezzlement or anything like that. It was just, we were just running so lean. I mean, you can't grow a business without making a profit.
Right.
So
Right.
we were getting all our profits.
That's all profits.
Every bit of it.
Yeah, that it makes sense that we build a home for working capital.
You okay, Kurt?
I am. You mentioned that it's our purpose to give money back to the town, and I agree with that. But if in the long run we find ourselves in a situation where all parties involved agree that we should be building a new structure and keeping ourselves in a two-store situation, in the long run, that is going to benefit the town many times over.
You're
So,
right.
so perhaps we do need to hold on to the funds. And before now.
Okay. Well, I think we've addressed this pretty adequately. Does anyone else have any questions to Bridget before we make a motion to approve the budget?
I wanted to go through a couple things in here before.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay. Just so you guys have full transparency into, I did make comments and notes in some of the lines. I don't know if you guys had opportunity to view those, but just in case you didn't, so there are some expenses that you will see that are housed solely in the Youngsville Crossing store because there are a few things that it will cover the ABC system and it doesn't need to be charged to both stores. So where we could do that, we did do that just to reduce overhead in the College Street store. So things like salaries and wages, a note for this, my salary is housed in Youngsville Crossing, and Jason's salary is being charged to the College Street store. We put the entirety of the board member compensation in Youngsville Crossing. I did make note where there would be 3 pay periods in October and in April. I did also account for potential Christmas bonuses. You guys would vote to approve those when we get closer to Christmas time, but I went ahead and budgeted for them. We also budgeted for the health insurance increases, not from a rate standpoint, but because we are acquiring an additional full-time person for this year. So our ABC system will be, Jason will be overseeing both stores. He'll spend 3 days a week in one store and 2 days in another. And then we'll have one full-time supervisor at each location that serves as like an assistant store manager. And I made that decision to reduce the overhead cost of payroll. I don't believe it's necessary to have a store manager at each location, as long as we have a really great, strong, full-time supervisor in each store. Jason's doing a really great job running the ABC system right now, or the two stores, or the one store that we have. So we're gonna run it that way with the salaries, but we are gonna have an additional health insurance to pay for in doing that. Same thing for retirement. Employee continuing education and testing. So there are classes at the UNC School of Government that I would like to budget for this year. Budget officer courses, some human resource stuff that will help aid me in assisting continuing to better the budget process for the ABC system. There also is the amount here for us to do the ethics class renewal, because we have to renew that every year, the amount that we've paid to have the ethics course testing. Other employee expenses here, this is the sales incentive bonus items that I've been doing for the store. I would really like to continue that through this next year. I think it gives them something to look forward to in beating their budget every month. This past month, like I said, we did the Sharon and Pack House for lunch and coffee for the staff. Even something small like that, they've been really excited about it. So we would like to continue that going forward. One change that we made to how the budget is distributed is we did previously the contracted services paid to the town was housed in the profits paid to the town budget line. But since this is separate from the distributions piece, I've housed that in truly the contracted services budget line. So that used to just say $700 for the finance officer, but our town services contract since it's different than the distribution piece, it's truly contracted services, so we've included the full amount there instead. For Youngsville Crossing, I tried to put a minimum amount in the budget line for this. We shouldn't have a lot of building maintenance expenses for college or for Youngsville Crossing. It's in a shopping center. A lot of those expenses should be on the landlord to take care of. But we do have money in the contingency line if there was something that occurred in that building that we would need to add to the building maintenance line. Mainly in here, this is going to be our quarterly pest services that we're going to have for any HVAC maintenance that we may need to bring in. And the same thing for equipment. Dues and subscriptions. So I have a list of the things that go into the dues and subscriptions line here, just to show the things that we are going to be paying for. With our timekeeping and scheduling software, in July, I'm going to pay the annual rate for this because it takes it from $49 a month to $35 a month in cost if I could pay it up front. So that's it's quite a big savings that we're going to get through that. This is our quarterly QuickBooks amount we're paying. This is our POS annual maintenance fees. We're going to pay a prorated amount in that. We got it agreed to in our maintenance contract with Steve Gaskins that we will basically pay a prorated amount from November through July in November. So that's the prorated amount for the year for that. So then that leads to, this is where our dues and subscriptions are for the year. I have minimum office supplies in for at least the beginning part of the new store opening. We should have most of that acquired through the capital expenditure budget of opening the store. There's not a whole lot we should need for the first couple of months after we open. Our telephone service it's telephone and internet. It's going to be mostly housed in the Youngsville Crossing because we have a contract with Nextiva that's going to provide phone services for both stores once they're open, and it will be billed singularly, not per store. So we're going to house the budget within this store. Our rent amount for the year is here. I did just minimum kind of seasonally uniforms upgrades possibly. I know that we were doing the black polos for College Street, but the Parks and Rec Director, Andrew Smith, has a contact where we can get really great, fun, different T-shirts and hoodies and like nice uniform shirts still that are colorful and fun at a much cheaper rate. Those polos are $30 to $40 a piece, and I can get really nice like uniform T-shirts from them, screen printed for $6 to $10 a shirt sometimes. So I'm going to order a test batch for the team, and we'll kind of see how they come out. But I think we can save a lot of money on uniforms that way too.
Rich, I just noticed we don't have to pay rent in July.
Oh, no, we don't. That's a good point.
Also, I was going to ask you, I wanted you to go to the convention every year. Is that, have you budgeted that in?
I'm not sure what the cost of that is.
Well, hotel travel.
Yeah. What I would probably do is take it from the contingency line and just submit the amount to you guys in one of our meetings. If I get that amount from the, because I need to talk to Jackie. We also have to pay our dues to them. I think it's like $235 or $285, and they're due in about right now. So once I get the information about cost, then I would just pull it from the contingency line and put it into maybe other employee expenses.
And then the chamber's $200 a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Put that,
I don't know where I want to put that. The chamber fee.
it'd be a dues.
Dues and subscriptions.
Right. Okay. I'll give it to you after.
Yes. I will add that. Anything else before I move on? Okay. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the profits paid to the towns. This is from the minimum distribution calculator from the commission, and then also the alcohol education contribution and the law enforcement contribution amount per month based on our sales. So essentially, this may fluctuate some depending on what sales actually are, but that will be something that we'll assess each month and then pay on a monthly basis. And then we have the contingency line here where we may be able to appropriate funds to different line items as needed for things that come up throughout the year. One other thing that we did include in the salaries and wages, starting at the 1-year anniversary for myself and Jason, I've budgeted in raises. Essentially, so with Jason, I have his in March. That based on his performance continuing to be exceptional between now and then, typically industry standard between 2 to 5% raise. I did a maximum of 3.5%. So we can do a performance evaluation towards the end of the year when he's been here. If he exceeds in all categories, then if he were to get a 3.5% raise, it would be $51,750. And then so the new budget will include that. For myself, in January, so Phil and I looked at just comparing us with kind of where we are envisioning our ABC system to be and comparing to other ABC boards. So looking at like the Wake County system comps, they're obviously a much larger board, but if we scale down their store quantity and compare it to ours, they have 26 stores, so if we assume 2 stores per next level, there's 3 levels between myself and the corporate level for the Wake County boards. If we use the assistant general manager as a base level salary for the Wake County ABC system, which they make $128,000 a year, the difference between the assistant general manager and the store manager salary is about 24.3%. We're multiplying that by 3 levels of management separation between myself and that yields a difference between the assistant general manager and my position of about 72.8%. So if we're dividing the assistant general manager salary by that percentage, then we get roughly $74,420. Adjusting for years of service, which would be the average, taking the average from Wake County and then including my 1 year, it will be an increase of 3.5%. And that would lead to reducing the difference between my salary and the average salary calculated of 21.87%. So my salary would be $71,265. Take your brains on a spin this morning, I'm sorry.
Here's how I want to respond.
Okay.
Hey, Danny, are you on mute?
He's still on. Oh, no. He's not on.
He's not on?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I really would like it, Lila, if you and Danny would work together with Bridget, form us a personnel committee.
Okay.
And that way, when she does salary reviews and that thing, she'll have somebody she can bounce ideas off of and suggestions. And certainly you and Danny are capable of making any recommendations to the board as far as what her pay increase would be. And I do think that we do need to have formal annual reviews for Bridget. The board does, or me, but certainly based on y'all's input. Does that sound fair enough?
Absolutely. In fact, I would recommend we have formal reviews for all the store associates, including Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something that's consistent, relevant.
Yep. We got you covered, Bridget.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So that amount is budgeted here. Whatever decision that you guys make, we can make adjustments whenever we do the approval. So those are the main highlights to everything. Again, there's notes in here for like each line item that break out kind of where I got the numbers from for everything. So any other questions that you guys have or feedback or thoughts or anything around the budget?
So for health insurance, it's yourself and Jason, and then you'll have 2 supervisors. Have you factored in what the health care cost is going to go up? Because every year it does go up by depending on who.
So we are utilizing the town's health insurance provider so that we basically get kind of the same rates that they do. And I was asking Phil about that prior to putting the budget in place, and he said that he doesn't foresee them, because they're shopping right now for a new provider potentially, that we foresee the rates being the same or lower possibly. So the amount is going up based on the quantity of employees, not based on the rate. Phil? Is that?
I was just going to say, we received several quotes already, and we're in the process of finalizing that. But what Bridget stated is correct. We don't anticipate the rate. The rate actually might go down by, 2.5% or so. But for budget purposes, what she's got there will be more than sufficient. And she's correct also that just for the new members of the board, the town, because it has more employees and can be more competitive when shopping around for its health insurance, basically just adds the ABC employees onto its policies, and then the ABC board just reimburses the town for the cost, per employee.
Okay.
So walk us through what happens next. We'll have a public hearing next month.
So this is why this meeting is especially important for you guys to give your feedback on any other changes that we need to make, because the next step is approving the budget. So I will remove the July rent. That was a great catch, Rick. Thank you. I'll add the chamber fees on there. I'll make the changes necessary, and then Emily will schedule a public hearing for June 15th, which is our next board meeting. We'll do the public hearing and the budget approval in the same meeting, so we don't have to schedule 2 meetings that month. We will have a public hearing. If no one from the public shows up, then we just essentially put it to you guys to vote to approve. It is very important that we get the budget approved at the June meeting, because essentially what happens from there is if it's not approved at that meeting for some reason, then we basically have to operate on this budget amendment status sort of going into next fiscal year, because there's no approved budget submitted. I still have to submit our budget to the ABC Commission as well. So again, I want to take this opportunity to make sure that I'm implementing any changes that we need or taking into consideration any feedback that you guys have now, so that the next time the budget is presented in front of you, it should be just a, yes, it looks great, we're just going to vote yes.
So if we get home and think of something that we didn't think
Please
of
send me
today,
feedback.
shoot you an email.
Yes.
All right, the action requested is to schedule a public hearing on the fiscal year end 2022 budget for the June 15th meeting at 9 a.m. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion.
Okay, Val, thank you. Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay, Kirk, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. That's a lot of hard work there, Brittany.
Yeah,
Good job.
really, that's good work.
Okay, discussion on proposed employee bonuses contingent on sales reaching $2 million. I will take Bridget off the hook. This was my my suggestion to her, so thank you for putting it on the agenda.
Mm-hmm. So, just to give you guys an overview, so like as of close of business yesterday, we are $48,555 away from hitting $2 million for the year. We are on track to hit it roughly around May 24th. If they continue beating budgets the way they have been, it could be a few days sooner. So we're in an any day now situation. I have not told the staff yet about this. I wanted to wait till we got official approval. I just told them that their sales bonus this month was a secret, but that they would be very excited about it. So I have managed to trim payroll in a way that we should have roughly $11,000 left in our payroll budget at the end of this year. That is going to be decreased by about $5,000 because of Nikki's vacation payout. But even not considering the capital expenditure money that we have for bringing on the new employees, we should have about $6,000 left over. So we have the extra money in the payroll budget to be able to do the bonuses. So I would like, and again, I know Ricky said $200, so I would like to be able to pay the sales associates the $200 bonus and maybe Jason a $300 bonus once we hit that.
How many employees total?
It would be so 3, and I guess I want to see how you would like me to handle this, because we just hired 3 new people, like within the last 2 weeks. So do we abstain? Do we?
They're part of the team.
Okay. So then it will be Jason and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 total, includes Jason.
$1,700.
Our sales over the last 3 years have, I think, what was the sales for last year?
1.6 million.
Honestly, I never believed this forward. It could be dollars. It's the whole reason that I suggested
Well, and before you guys, make your vote on that, I will share with you, you know, I know last month we had talked about kind of the state average again, and I'd like to share with you again, just to help support the decision around that and how hard this staff is working. So for the month of April, the state as a whole saw a 32% increase over last year. However, that included mixed beverage, because as you know, last year, the restaurants, so the state of North Carolina did $26 million in mixed beverage sales in April. Last year in April, they did $86,000 in mixed beverage sales. So all the restaurants opened back up again in April, so they did see a huge increase. If we're talking about just retail, not including mixed beverage customers, just the store selling stuff, the state only saw an 8% growth over last year. Our store saw 23.69% growth over last year. Franklinton saw a 2.5% increase, and Lewisburg saw a 5.5% increase. We passed Lewisburg in total sales volume last month, as now we were the busiest store in the Franklin County last month. So the thing that I want to really recognize with the store staff here is, like, our success is not pandemic purchasing anymore. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that restaurants are open again and mixed beverage is popping. Like, it is just their effort around the tastings and the ordering and the customer service and the environment that they're creating within the store that we did $224,000 last month. Our budget was $210,000, so.
Oh, I mean, I've seen a huge difference just in the employees. You know, you walk in there, they're happy to, you know, a lot more product to where, you know, 2 months ago, or, yeah, wasn't friendly.
Yes. So.
I think it's all about the culture. Culture starts right here.
I think it's good to recognize great effort. And I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they're performing, I think it's really critical that we recognize them, because that will reduce turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, just the whole culture, you know, what you're doing with them, I think is going to help a lot. And we'll save money just in turnover costs.
Yes. And again, it's not going to overextend us in our payroll budget for the year. So, I mean, I think if we're going to have extra money in that account, I don't think there's a better way for us to utilize it really than to invest back. I mean, if you think about what $200 can mean to a part-time sales associate, I mean, some of them have full-time jobs and this is their second job. So, you know, this could really mean a lot to them. And again, I think, you know, for Jason, like, he's been critical in the success of the store right now, and just the relationships he's creating with some of the bourbon groups, and, you know, how active he's been in making sure we have the best product. And, you know, we're getting talked about across Wake County right now as the place to go. And
One of those top comments that you posted
mm-hmm.
seems to indicate that.
I have some more to share with you today.
Yeah.
So the action requested is to approve a $200 employee bonus and the $2 million range. I would also want to suggest that we let Bridget have some discretion as far as Jason doing $300.
I make a motion to approve the employee bonus structure.
Okay.
I second it, Lila.
Any further discussion? I think we included anything. You bring.
I was just going to ask that. I think we need to include something for Bridget.
Yeah, it's okay. Or the motion for that.
Make a motion to amend the budget to include Bridget's bonus.
Okay. All right. No further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Great job.
thank you guys very much.
All right, it's getting a little bit late, so
Yep.
we'll try to go through the other reports now. So anything to update on COVID?
The Governor Cooper, amended the executive order to make masks not required indoors. My communication to the store staff has been, it's your choice. If they feel comfortable that they don't want to wear them, then they can choose not to. If they would like to continue, that will be at their discretion, so.
I think our corporate policy has been is that if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask. So we recommend anybody that hasn't to wear it, but
Yes.
I think you've got a good policy.
Yes.
I visited the tasting on Saturday. I thought the guy there did a good job. Store looks great. I told Jason I particularly like the way that he's doing the end caps. He's got cases of product there. It gives me the impression that we got a bunch of inventory, so you don't have to worry about it running out. But I do have to say he was a very good hire, and you did a good job hiring.
Thank you.
I appreciate everybody's involvement being on the board. I still would like to maybe get together with you guys between meetings, maybe have lunch and sort of talk about what your interests might be in serving on a committee or two. But while I do appreciate you and Bridget working with Danny on the personnel stuff.
Okay.
Kirk, do you have anything you want to report?
I do not.
Nathan?
Other than just, I went to the first tasting. I thought it was, very good. It was funny to see some of the people. In fact, when I got there, one guy had pulled up and he was amazed that an ABC store was having a tasting. Kept telling the girl that, he had went there for, one product that we didn't buy and what they were tasting. But I thought it was a really good time. I didn't make it to the one on Saturday. But overall, like I said, I think the atmosphere has changed a lot at ABC stores. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
No, I just agree with what's already been said. I went to the first tasting to Black Dad or Bush at another event, but certainly the hospitality is coming through. And every time I pass the store, the parking lot's full. So there's a lot of activity, so no wonder the store's getting recognition in Wake County.
Bridget, you have anything in addition to report?
I will try to make it fast today since I know we're a little bit behind. I shared with you guys already just our growth over last year, $224,000 this past month. Again, our tasting this past Saturday was a huge success. We sold over 40 bottles from that specific distiller. We did $15,000 on Saturday, which was, or our budget was $13,500, so we well exceeded that. Our budget this month for it, again, is $226,000. If you guys have a chance to stop by the store, cheer them on. Once we achieve that, it will be the highest sales month in the history of the ABC system here. So we're excited to celebrate that with the team. We were able to secure some new staffing for the Youngsville Crossing store. So again, if you get an opportunity to stop by the store, we promoted one person, Carissa Powell. She was a part-time shift supervisor. We promoted her to full-time. She will be at the College Street location as a full-time shift supervisor. And then we hired an external candidate named Daryl Wilson. He started yesterday, and he will be the full-time shift supervisor for the Youngsville Crossing store. We went ahead and brought him on. He started yesterday so that he can learn the ins and outs of the store and the system and the ABC world before we get into the new store. We also promoted Trey Stewart to a part-time shift supervisor position, and we are paying out bonus this month for employees. Thank you to the board. I installed sanitizing stations within the store as well so that they're accessible to the employees and to customers. We are officially moving our bank accounts over to Benchmark Bank this week. I just want to make sure that I let Rick know that customer service has been outstanding from them. We don't even have our money there yet, and they already have been incredible. So Carrie and I will be working on that. There were a few items from the last meeting that I talked about adding some commission reporting links to the team site. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to check that, I did add those. So if you want to check into kind of our performance versus the rest of the North Carolina ABC stores, there's a link on the ABC team site that will take you to the commission page where it houses all the sales and revenue reports for the ABC stores within the state of North Carolina. So. Oh, and most importantly, Rick was reappointed as our chairman at the commissioners meeting. I always forgot. So congratulations, Rick. Kirk was officially appointed as our vice chairman at the commissioners meeting as well. So congratulations, Kirk. So if for some reason Rick is not here or can't serve in capacity as chairman for any reason right now, Kirk, you will accept those responsibilities. So congratulations.
Is that everything?
I think so.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything else for me?
Emily's not here. Phil, did you have any comments you wanted to make?
I'd just like to make one comment, and that is wanted to just recognize Bridget for all of her hard work. She's doing an excellent job, and I think she continues to reaffirm our decision to hire her as the manager. I wanted to express that the chairman, so Rick, and then the mayor and myself and Bridget are going to be meeting with the chairman of the state ABC commission next week. The chairman actually reached out to us because he was interested in Youngsville ABC because of all the excellent things that Bridget and her team are doing. And so we look forward to taking that opportunity to go down to Raleigh and meet with the chairman and just tell him a little bit about some of the things that we're doing. And he's just been very impressed. He's heard all these things that are going around in Wake County, the tastings and the customer service. And I think he's just, he's more business-minded. He understands that there is kind of an appetite here and there in the legislature to potentially privatize liquor sales. And so I think when stores do things and systems do things to maintain relevancy, to increase the customer experience, he's always interested in hearing about that. So I just wanted to recognize Bridget and just inform the board that we look forward to meeting with the state ABC chairman next Wednesday.
Thank you, Phil.
Phil, I was waiting to see whether you wanted to make any comments on the meeting that we have this Thursday.
Oh, I will. So the board may not be 100% aware, but essentially we've about 18 months ago applied to be a member of the local government retirement system in North Carolina. And the state's treasurer and the board of trustees of the local government retirement system has kind of put off our application. So the state legislature is actually now considering a bill that will make it basically impossible for any ABC board to join the system after June 30th. We've kind of missed the boat because they've not considered our application, and the board of trustees that admits members to the retirement system only meets on a quarterly basis. So their last quarterly meeting for this fiscal year was in April, and so they did not consider our application. So if this bill passes in its current form, then essentially we wouldn't be able to join the retirement system ever. It would be a permanent impossibility. So we've scheduled a meeting with the treasurer to discuss possibly his support for amending the bill that's being considered by the state Senate right now. So we hope to have more information and positive negotiation on that. But Rick, myself, and the mayor and Bridget will also be meeting with the state's treasurer, Dale Falwell, on Thursday of this week to discuss that matter. And we hope to bring some positive news. But just know that myself and Bridget are advocating for the ABC board as much as possible.
Thank you, Phil.
And Rick, I did have one last thing I just wanted to share with you guys before we finish. This should have been in the agenda packet that Emily sent out if you guys had opportunity to review it, but this is kind of a snippet of the topic that we're sharing with the ABC Commission Chairman. He's really big about relationships, as am I. So the theme of kind of presentation that I'm giving to him is about community relationships. As an ABC system, our relationship with our customers, our relationship with our staff, our relationship with the community, and with the ABC Commission and other ABC boards. So one of the things that I started putting together is just how we are trying to positively impact all of those different relationships with community, and what that is doing for us very, very quickly. You know, the change that has happened is not something that's taking a long time. I mean, I've just been here since January. These numbers are just from the month of April. 373 total surveys that were submitted from customers within our store, from our basic pay, people that shopped in the store. Only 15 were not 5 stars. You know, Lila, Kirk, you guys have been in retail. I mean, the NPS score on that, I mean, companies would pay millions of dollars to have customer scores like that. We've had 510 total subscribers to our newsletter from March 1st through April 30th. We started an Instagram and Twitter account, and within 48 hours, we already had increased our followers to 43 and 20. We have 350 total Facebook followers right now, just within a span of 90 days. And I specifically wanted to call out some of our top comments, but then also really looking at people appreciate our social media presence. Yeah, and you know we're getting those comments, and if you look at, there are only a few other ABC boards that even have social media accounts, but if you look at Lake County and Mecklenburg counties, who are the 2 largest ABC boards in the state of North Carolina, their social media accounts are strictly around, we're closed today for Memorial Day, or we're hiring today, or, you know, just some of the mundane things that they're utilizing it from a business perspective. And we have really tried to turn our social media accounts into an entity, basically a being. Like, we want our posts to seem like we are a person that's posting about the fun that we're having and the events that we're doing, and it's not just around our hours of operation. And our customers are responding well to that. They're talking about it on social media. We're getting comments back from them. I think one of the commissioners actually mentioned to Phil specifically that they appreciated our social media presence right now. So I think it's something that, you know, there's a lot of rules and regulations and restrictions around what we can and can't do on social media. But it's one of the things that I want to discuss with the state chairman is, you know, customers want it. They want that interaction. They want the information. And so right now we're trying everywhere we can to stay within the spirit of the law and what we're allowed to do. But we also want to find out, like, how much more can we do that we don't know about right now. So that's it.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Does anyone have a need for a closed session to talk about personnel matters?
No.
No. Okay. Well, then, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second that emotion.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think it's a great meeting today. I appreciate everybody.
Thank you.